Move along, sweetheart. The cleaning crew uses the service entrance. The security guard's meaty hand pressed against Dr. Amelia Cross's shoulder, steering her away from the executive elevator like discarded trash. Her charcoal blazer wrinkled under his grip. The marble floor reflected her composed face as 20-something executives smirked behind their coffee cups. It was 8:47 a.m. at Apex Industries headquarters. She wore a simple gold watch and carried a leather portfolio that cost more than most people's monthly salary. But Marcus Webb, head of security for 8 years, saw only what his assumptions allowed: a black woman who didn't belong. Her phone buzzed. Bloomberg News flashed across the screen. The elevator doors closed on the executive's laughter. Have you ever been invisible in a room full of people who should know exactly who you are? Dr. Cross stood motionless as Webb's hand lingered on her shoulder. Around them, the Apex Industries lobby hummed with morning energy executives clutching Starbucks cups, junior associates hurrying toward meetings, the soft ping of arriving elevators. "Sir, I need to get upstairs." Her voice remained level, professional. No edge, no anger, just facts. Webb's chest puffed out. At 52, he'd built his reputation on knowing every face that mattered in this building. "Ma'am, I'm going to need to see some identification." She reached into her blazer, producing a sleek executive badge, the kind with embedded security chips that cost $200 to replace. Webb barely glanced at it. This could be fake. Anyone can get these made online. He stepped closer, forcing her back toward the freight elevator. "What's your business here?" "The 9 o'clock board meeting." Laughter erupted from a cluster of executives near the information desk. One whispered loud enough to carry, "Diversity hire thinks she belongs in the C-suite." The digital display above the reception desk read, 9 o'clock a.m. board meeting, 12 minutes remaining. Webb's radio crackled. He ignored it, focusing on what he saw as a problem to solve. "Listen, sweetheart. The employment office is on the 3rd floor. Take that elevator." He pointed toward the service entrance where delivery men wheeled in supplies. Dr. Cross checked her watch, the same gesture she'd made in boardrooms across 3 continents. "I don't think you understand." "No, you don't understand." Webb's voice rose enough to draw more attention. "I've worked security here for 8 years. I know every executive, every VP, every director. Hell, I know their assistants." More phones appeared. The modern reflex. Someone's finger hovered over the tick-tock record button. A junior manager named Peterson approached, briefcase swinging. He'd graduated from Wharton 2 years ago and still wore his MBA like armor. "Everything okay here, Marcus?" "Just directing this lady to the right floor. She seems confused about which building this is." Peterson's eyes swept over Dr. Cross, cataloging details. Simple blazer, no visible designer logos, definitely not their usual clientele. "Ma'am, are you looking for the community college? It's about 6 blocks south." The cruelty landed with surgical precision. Dr. Cross felt it, absorbed it, filed it away with all the other casual humiliations she'd collected over 2 decades in corporate America. Her phone buzzed again. This time, Reuters' business desk lit up the screen. She declined the call. 9 o'clock meeting, she repeated, as if saying it again might somehow penetrate their assumptions. Webb laughed, the kind of laugh that said he'd heard every story, every excuse, every attempt to talk past security. "Right, and I'm meeting with the Pope at 10. The crowd was growing. Employees on their way to meetings slowed their pace, sensing drama. This was content gold, the kind of workplace incident that would generate thousands of views and dozens of hot takes about corporate culture. Someone's Instagram story was already captioned, "Security stopping random woman at Apex LOL." The company's Slack channel buzzed with notifications. Hashtag Apex drama was trending internally. Messages flew, "Situation in the lobby." "Security dealing with someone." This is wild. Dr. Cross noticed a first-class United ticket stub peeking from her portfolio. She pressed it deeper, out of sight. Her platinum Amex slipped out instead, clattering on the marble floor. She retrieved it quickly, but not before Peterson caught the gleam of premium metal. He frowned. Something didn't add up, but his assumptions were stronger than his curiosity. Board meeting. 8 minutes remaining. "Ma'am," Webb's voice carried the authority of someone used to being obeyed, "I'm going to need you to state your business here or leave the premises." "I told you, the meeting." "What meeting? With who?" Dr. Cross looked around the lobby. 25 people now watched, most recording. The receptionist pretended to organize papers, avoiding eye contact. The executives who'd laughed earlier were posting to LinkedIn about their authentic workplace experience. "The board meeting," she said again, her composure unshakable. Peterson scoffed. "Lady, the board meeting is for board members. You know people who actually run this company." Her phone buzzed a third time. "Board secretary" flashed across the screen. She let it ring. Webb stepped closer, close enough that she could smell his cologne mixed with morning coffee. "This is your last warning. Employment office, 3rd floor, or I call the police." The threat hung in the air like smoke. Around them, phones captured every word, every gesture, every micro-expression of contempt and confusion. Dr. Cross straightened her blazer and checked her simple gold watch again. Not Rolex, not Patek Philippe's. Not, just elegant, understated precision. "Do what you think is right," she said quietly. Webb reached for his radio. Board meeting, 5 minutes remaining. The elevator doors opened behind them. 3 more executives emerged, coffee in hand, heading upstairs to the meeting that apparently didn't exist for people who looked like Dr. Amelia Cross. Webb's finger hovered over his radio button. Around them, the lobby transformed into an arena. Employees abandoned their morning routines, drawn by the magnetic pull of workplace drama. "Control, this is Webb. We have a trespasser situation in the main lobby, requesting backup." The radio squawked back. "Copy that. Units en route." Dr. Cross remained perfectly still. Her breathing stayed even, controlled. She'd learned long ago that anger was a luxury she couldn't afford, not in boardrooms, not in negotiations, and certainly not here. A woman in her 30s approached, designer heels clicking against marble. Sarah Chen, VP of Marketing, clutched her MacBook like a shield. She'd built her career on reading situations quickly, adapting her position to benefit maximum advantage. "What seems to be the problem?" Chen's voice carried practiced concern, the kind perfected in media training sessions. Peterson jumped in, eager to demonstrate his authority. "Security is handling a situation. Someone trying to access areas they don't belong." Chen studied Dr. Cross with calculating eyes. Simple blazer, minimal jewelry, no obvious status symbols. Her mental algorithm reached its conclusion. Not a threat to her position. "The employment office can help with job applications," Chen offered, voice dripping with manufactured kindness. "They're very thorough with background checks." Board meeting. 4 minutes remaining. The crowd swelled to 30 people. Someone started a Twitter thread. "Witnessing discrimination at major corp right now. This is insane." The post gained 17 retweets in 40 seconds. A junior associate live-streamed to TikTok. "Y'all, security is about to call the cops on this lady who says she works here. Chat, what do you think?" Comments flooded in real time. "Call the police. She looks sketchy AF. Karen alert LMAO. Why won't she just leave?" Dr. Cross watched the digital mob form, understanding something the crowd didn't. They were creating evidence. Every recording, every post, every comment would become data points in a larger story. 2 security guards jogged across the lobby, utility belts jingling. The younger one, Martinez, looked nervous. This was only his 2nd week on the job. "What's the situation, Marcus?" The older guard, Thompson, had worked buildings like this for 20 years. He'd seen protests, break-ins, and every variety of corporate chaos. Trespasser refusing to leave. Claims she has business upstairs. Webb gestured toward Dr. Cross like she was evidence in a crime scene. Thompson sized her up. Clean, professional appearance. No visible weapons. No obvious signs of mental distress. His instincts said something felt off about this whole situation. "Ma'am, do you have identification proving you work here?" Dr. Cross showed her badge again. Thompson examined it more carefully than Webb had. The holographic security features looked legitimate. The embedded chip caught the light correctly. But corporate badges were sophisticated these days. Forgeries were possible. "This says executive-level access," Thompson noted. "Anyone can order those online," Webb insisted. "I've seen better fakes at conventions." Dr. Cross's phone buzzed again. This time, Wall Street Journal appeared on the screen. She declined the call without looking at the crowd's reaction. Board meeting. 3 minutes remaining. Chen stepped closer, sensing an opportunity to demonstrate leadership. "Ma'am, I think there's been a misunderstanding. If you could just explain what position you think you hold here." "I don't think anything," Dr. Cross replied calmly. "I know exactly what position I hold." The lobby's energy shifted. Her confidence was absolute, unshakable. Even Peterson felt a flicker of doubt. Martinez whispered to Thompson, "Should we really call the cops? She doesn't seem dangerous." Thompson shushed him. Protocol was protocol. Webb stepped forward, chest puffed out. He'd built his reputation on control, on knowing who belonged and who didn't. This woman challenged everything he thought he knew about this building. "Lady, I've been doing this job for 8 years. I know every executive in this company. Every VP, every director, hell, I know their assistants. I know who drives what car, who drinks what coffee, who takes which elevator." He pointed toward the service elevator. "That's where you belong. That's where people like you go." The words hit like a physical blow. Around them, phones captured everything. The TikTok live stream viewer count hit 200 people. Dr. Cross felt something cold settle in her chest. Not anger, something more dangerous. Resolve. "People like me," she repeated quietly. "People who don't belong," Webb clarified, missing the warning in her voice entirely. Board meeting. 2 minutes remaining. The elevator doors opened again. 3 more executives emerged, heading toward the private elevator bank. They glanced at the crowd, whispered among themselves, and kept walking. None stopped to help. Chen's phone buzzed with a Slack notification. The company channel was exploding. Drama in lobby getting intense. Someone's recording everything. This is going viral for sure. HR is going to flip. She started backing away, suddenly aware that being associated with this situation might damage her carefully curated professional image. Peterson pulled out his phone and started recording. If this was going viral, he wanted to control the narrative, position himself as the voice of reason. Dr. Cross noticed him filming and looked directly into his camera. Her gaze was steady, unflinching. It was the same look she'd given senators during congressional hearings, the same expression she'd worn while testifying before the Federal Trade Commission. "Are you getting this?" she asked quietly. Peterson nodded, not understanding what he was documenting. Webb's radio crackled. "Marcus, this is Control. Police ETA is 7 minutes. Keep the situation contained." "Copy that," Webb replied, feeling vindicated. The cavalry was coming. This would end the way these situations always ended, with authority restored and order maintained. Thompson studied Dr. Cross more carefully. Something about her posture, her bearing, reminded him of his military days, the way officers carried themselves, confident without being aggressive, certain without being loud. "Ma'am," he said carefully, "is there someone upstairs who can verify your employment?" Dr. Cross checked her watch again. The gesture was becoming habitual, automatic. Board meeting. 1 minute remaining. Yes, she said simply. Several people. Who? Webb demanded. Dr. Cross looked around the lobby. 42 people now watched the spectacle. The TikTok stream had 2,800 viewers. LinkedIn posts were multiplying. Twitter threads were gaining momentum. Her phone buzzed one final time. Board Secretary, urgent, flashed across the screen. This time she answered. Dr. Cross? Thank God. The board is asking where you are. Should I tell them you're running late? The voice carried clearly in the marble-walled lobby. Several people heard Dr. Cross and looked confused. Board meeting, now starting, attendance required. Dr. Cross ended the call and slipped the phone back into her blazer. Around her, the crowd sensed something had changed. The energy shifted from anticipation to confusion. Webb's radio squawked. Control to all units! Police are 2 minutes out! Dr. Cross reached into her blazer pocket and withdrew her phone again. This time she opened an app. The Apex Industries executive portal loaded with her credentials. Her finger hovered over a button labeled Emergency Board Powers, CEO Override. Gentlemen, she said quietly, her voice carrying despite the crowd. I think it's time we cleared up this misunderstanding. Dr. Cross's finger touched the screen. The executive portal opened with biometric authentication, facial recognition, retinal scan, fingerprint verification, security protocols that cost Apex Industries $2.3 million to develop. The app's interface was stark, corporate. At the top, in clean sans serif font, Apex Industries Executive Command Center. Dr. Amelia Cross, Chairman and Chief Executive Officer Clearance Level, Omega. The crowd closest to her saw the screen first. Their expressions shifted from amusement to confusion to something approaching horror. Holy shit, someone whispered. Webb was still talking into his radio. Control, suspect is now using some kind of device, possibly attempting to hack company systems. Dr. Cross navigated to emergency protocols. Her thumb moved with practiced precision. She'd used this system twice before. Once during the Hurricane Maria supply chain crisis, once when their main competitor attempted a hostile takeover. Emergency Board Powers, CEO Override. Status, inactive activate? Yes. No. She paused, letting the moment crystallize. Around her, phones captured everything. The TikTok stream hit 5,200 viewers. Someone in the chat typed, "Wait, what does that screen say?" Peterson squinted at her phone, trying to read the display. Marketing VP Chen took a step backward, her face draining color. Thompson, the senior security guard, finally understood what his instincts had been screaming. The bearing, the confidence, the absolute certainty. Military officers weren't the only ones who carried themselves like that. CEOs did too. Dr. Cross touched yes. The app interface changed immediately. Emergency board meeting. Initiated remotely executive override. Activated all board members. Summoned immediately. Location, conference room. A, 47th floor. A notification sound echoed from phones throughout the lobby. Every Apex Industries employee received the same alert simultaneously. Emergency board meeting called by CEO. All senior staff report to stations. Immediate compliance required. Webb's radio dropped from his hand, clattering on the marble floor. The TikTok comments exploded. Yo, she's the CEO. This is insane. Security just messed up bad. Plot twist of the century. Peterson's face went white. His phone shook in his hands as he realized he'd been recording his own career suicide. Chen started backing toward the elevator, desperately trying to blend into the crowd. Her LinkedIn post about authentic workplace experiences suddenly felt like evidence at a crime scene. But Dr. Cross wasn't finished. She navigated to another section of the app, Personnel Management, Disciplinary Actions. Her fingers moved efficiently across the screen, accessing files she'd been building for months. The crowd watched in stunned silence as she pulled up Marcus Webb's employment record. Marcus Webb, Head of Security. Employee ID 7429. Disciplinary history 12 complaints. Bias-related incidents. Status under review. 12 complaints, she said quietly, loud enough for the phones to catch. 12 separate incidents of employees reporting discriminatory treatment, all filed with HR, all marked as resolved through additional training. Webb stammered, those were misunderstandings. Dr. Cross swiped to the next file. Peterson, James, Junior Manager, Strategic Planning. Employee ID 9847 Performance Review, pending recent incidents. 3. Reported cases of inappropriate workplace comments. Peterson's Wharton MBA suddenly felt worthless. His hands trembled as he realized his recording had captured his own biased assumptions. The lobby had gone completely silent except for the soft ping of arriving elevators and the distant hum of the building's HVAC system. 47 people stood frozen, watching a masterclass in power dynamics unfold in real time. Dr. Cross looked up from her phone, scanning the crowd with the same calm expression she'd maintained throughout the entire ordeal. "The interesting thing about being underestimated," she said, her voice carrying clearly across the marble space, "is that people show you exactly who they are when they think you can't do anything about it." Her phone buzzed with an incoming call. "Board Secretary? Emergency line?" She answered on speaker. "Dr. Cross, the entire board is asking what's happening. The emergency protocol triggered alerts to shareholders, the SEC, and major investors. Should I explain the situation?" Every person in the lobby heard the conversation. The TikTok stream now had 8,400 viewers and climbing. "Tell them I'll be up shortly to explain why I activated emergency powers," Dr. Cross replied calmly. "And Janet, could you pull the personnel files for Marcus Webb, James Peterson, and Sarah Chen? I'll need them for the disciplinary review." "Of course, Dr. Cross. Should I also prepare the standard termination paperwork?" "Let's start with the files. We'll see where the conversation goes." She ended the call and returned to her phone's executive interface. This time she accessed something the crowd couldn't see clearly, but her expression suggested it was significant. Webb found his voice. "Dr. Cross, ma'am, I had no idea. If you could just give me a chance to explain." She looked at him with the same calm assessment she'd maintained throughout the entire humiliation. No anger, no vindication, just cold, professional evaluation. "Mr. Webb, in the past 30 minutes, you've provided me with a comprehensive demonstration of exactly how this company treats people who don't fit your assumptions about what leadership looks like." She gestured toward the crowd of phones. "Fortunately, we have extensive documentation of your decision-making process, multiple camera angles, real-time social media commentary, even live-stream audience feedback." The TikTok chat was moving too fast to read. "This is the best content ever. CEO revenge arc is real. Security guard about to get fired on live stream. Someone needs to make this into a movie." Peterson finally found the courage to speak. "Dr. Cross, I sincerely apologize. If I had known—" "Mr. Peterson," she interrupted gently, "you did know. You knew I was a human being deserving of basic respect. You knew I had identification. You knew I was asking for something reasonable. What you didn't know was whether I had the power to respond to your choices." She paused, letting that sink in. "The question is, does your behavior change based on someone's ability to retaliate?" Peterson's mouth opened and closed without sound. Around him, his colleagues edged away, suddenly concerned about guilt by association. Dr. Cross checked her watch, the same gesture that had seemed so ordinary 30 minutes ago, now loaded with entirely different meaning. "The board meeting was scheduled to begin 4 minutes ago," she announced. I believe this constitutes exceptional circumstances warranting emergency protocols. She looked directly into Peterson's phone camera, which was still recording. For those watching this unfold on social media, you're witnessing something important. Not revenge, not corporate drama. You're seeing what happens when assumptions meet reality. The elevator doors opened behind her. Thompson, the senior security guard, stepped forward. "Dr. Cross, ma'am, if you'd like, I can escort you upstairs now." She smiled the first time her expression had changed since entering the building. "Thank you, Thompson. I'd appreciate that." As they walked toward the executive elevator, she paused and turned back to the crowd. "Oh, and Peterson, you might want to stop recording now. HR will want to review all documentation of this incident. I'm sure you understand." Peterson's finger fumbled for the stop button, but it was too late. The damage was already uploaded, shared, and spreading across platforms faster than any corporate crisis management team could contain. The elevator doors closed on Dr. Cross and Thompson, leaving behind a lobby full of people who'd just learned the most expensive lesson of their careers. Webb picked up his radio from the floor, his hands shaking. "Control, this is Webb. Cancel the police request. Situation resolved." The lobby erupted in frantic whispers, deleted posts, and the desperate scramble of people trying to undo what couldn't be undone. But 47 floors above them, Dr. Amelia Cross was just getting started. The executive elevator climbed 47 floors in silence. Thompson stood at attention, his military bearing suddenly making sense to Dr. Cross. She noticed the small Marine Corps pin on his uniform collar. "Semper Fi," she said quietly. "Ura, ma'am. 20 years, 2nd Battalion." The elevator dinged softly. "Dr. Cross, if I may ask, how long were you planning to let that situation continue?" She adjusted her blazer, preparing for what came next. "Long enough to gather comprehensive data on systemic failures in our corporate culture." The doors opened to reveal the 47th floor polished hardwood, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, and the unmistakable aura of serious money. The kind of space where decisions affecting thousands of jobs got made over handshake agreements. Conference Room A occupied the northeast corner. Through glass walls, Dr. Cross could see 12 figures in $5,000 suits arranged around a mahogany table that cost more than most people's annual salary. Crystal water glasses caught morning light. Legal pads lay perfectly aligned next to Mont Blanc pens. Her phone buzzed with a text from her general counsel. "Board is confused and concerned. What emergency triggered the override?" She typed back, "Hostile workplace discrimination, multiple witnesses, documented evidence, prepare employment law review." Dr. Cross pushed open the conference room doors. 12 heads turned toward her. 11 men, 1 woman, average age 58, combined net worth approaching $2.8 billion. Board Chairman Robert Sterling stood at the head of the table. Investment banker, Harvard MBA, third-generation money. He'd known her for 3 years, but his expression suggested he was seeing her clearly for the first time. "Amelia, thank God! What's this emergency about? The alert triggered calls from Reuters, Bloomberg, even the SEC's office." She walked to her seat at the table's opposite end, placing her phone face up beside her water glass. The executive portal remained open, emergency powers still active. "Gentlemen, Margaret," she nodded to the lone female board member, "I've just concluded a fascinating case study in unconscious bias, in our lobby, recorded by our employees, currently trending on multiple social media platforms." CFO David Morrison leaned forward. Wharton graduate, 15 years at Goldman Sachs, before joining Apex. "What kind of case study?" Dr. Cross connected her phone to the room's presentation system. The wall-mounted screen flickered to life, displaying her executive dashboard. "For the past 37 minutes, I was prevented from accessing this building by our security team. Despite proper identification, despite clearly stating my purpose, despite multiple opportunities for verification." She swiped to a new screen. Real-time social media monitoring. The incident was live-streamed to 8,400 viewers, posted across Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, and Instagram. Hashtag Apex drama is currently trending in business circles. Board member Harrison Wells, former federal judge, studied the social media feeds with practiced legal eyes. What exactly did they say? Mr. Webb, our head of security, suggested I use the service entrance because I looked like cleaning crew. Mr. Peterson, junior manager in strategic planning, recommended I visit the community college 6 blocks south. The room went silent except for the soft hum of air conditioning. Legal counsel Patricia Hayes pulled up Apex's stock price on her tablet. We're down 2.1% since the alert went out. Trading volume is 3 times normal. Dr. Cross advanced to the next slide. Financial impact analysis. Our diversity initiatives generated $847 million in new contracts this quarter. Client companies specifically chose Apex because of our stated commitment to inclusive leadership. She clicked again. Legal exposure assessment. Hostile workplace litigation typically costs $2.3 million per case, plus reputational damage. The Johnson v. Tech Corp settlement last year was $4.7 million for a single discrimination incident. Morrison's face had gone pale. How much evidence exists of today's incident? Complete documentation from multiple angles, employee phones, security cameras, live stream recordings with real-time commentary, plus documented history of prior incidents. She pulled up Webb's personnel file on the main screen. Marcus Webb, Disciplinary History. March 2023. Complaint filed by Dr. Jennifer Washington, cardiac surgeon, visiting for medical consulting contract. Questioned my credentials. Assumed I was lost. July 2023. Incident with Maria Santos, VP of a client company. Asked if I was here for the housekeeping interview. November 2023. Confrontation with David Kim, tech executive. Demanded to search my briefcase. Claimed security concerns. 12 total incidents, Dr. Cross continued, all marked as resolved through additional training. 0 actual consequences. Board member Thomas Fitzgerald, former Fortune 500 CEO, leaned back in his chair. What's your recommendation, Amelia? Dr. Cross stood, moving to the windows overlooking the city. Below, she could see the Apex Industries logo on the building's facade, a symbol that was supposed to represent excellence, integrity, innovation. Gentlemen, we have a choice. We can treat this as an isolated incident, fire a few people, issue a public apology, and wait for the next crisis. Or we can use this moment to fundamentally restructure how we operate. She turned back to face the table. I'm recommending the latter. Sterling shifted uncomfortably. What does that look like specifically? Dr. Cross returned to her seat and pulled up a prepared presentation. Systematic Culture Reform. Implementation Plan. First, complete overhaul of security protocols. Digital badge recognition systems at all checkpoints. Mandatory bias training for all building staff. Zero tolerance policy for assumption-based interactions. She clicked to the next slide, real-time monitoring system. Second, AI-powered workplace interaction analysis. Anonymous reporting with guaranteed 24-hour response. Monthly bias incident reports published internally. Margaret Chen, the sole female board member and former tech executive, nodded approvingly. What about accountability measures? Third component, career advancement tied to inclusive behavior metrics. Performance reviews include peer feedback on respectful treatment of all colleagues, regardless of perceived status. Legal counsel Hayes frowned. Amelia, this is comprehensive, but implementation costs $12.3 million initial investment, Dr. Cross interrupted. Ongoing annual costs of $4.8 million. Compare that to a single discrimination lawsuit settlement, plus the reputational damage we're currently experiencing. She gestured toward her phone, where social media notifications continued flowing. Our stock is down $127 million in market cap since this morning. Client companies are already calling for explanations. Morrison pulled up financial projections on his tablet. The Johnson lawsuit alone cost TechCorp $4.7 million, plus CEO resignation, plus 2-year revenue decline. Dr. Cross advanced to her final slide. Non-compliance consequences. Here's what happens if we choose minimal response. Class action lawsuit potential, federal investigation, client contract cancellations, talent flight to competitors. The room fell silent. Outside the windows, the city continued its daily rhythm, unaware that corporate power dynamics were shifting 47 floors above the street. Sterling finally spoke. "What authority are you requesting to implement these changes?" Dr. Cross pulled up the corporate charter on her phone, projecting it to the main screen. According to Section 12.4 of our incorporation documents, emergency powers allow immediate implementation of policies necessary to prevent material harm to company operations. She highlighted specific language. CEO may implement immediate corrective measures when corporate reputation or financial stability face imminent threat. I'm not requesting authority, Robert. I'm informing you of actions already authorized under emergency protocols. Board member Williams, former federal prosecutor, studied the charter language carefully. That's actually correct. Emergency powers are quite broad. Dr. Cross stood again, her calm authority filling the room. Gentlemen, Margaret, I'm implementing these changes effective immediately. Security Department restructuring begins today. Monitoring systems go live within 30 days. Training programs start next week. She paused, letting the weight of her words settle. Anyone opposing these measures can submit their resignation by close of business today. I control 51% voting shares and have full authority to restructure this board by Thursday. The silence stretched long enough for traffic noise to drift up from the street below. Finally, Sterling spoke. All in favor of Dr. Cross's reform package? 11 hands rose immediately. Only Wells hesitated, then slowly raised his hand as well. Motion carries unanimously, Sterling announced. Dr. Cross gathered her phone and portfolio. Janet will send implementation timelines by end of day. The emergency board meeting is now concluded. As she walked toward the door, Morrison called out, Amelia, what about Webb and Peterson? She paused without turning around. That decision gets made downstairs, in front of the same audience that witnessed their choices. The conference room doors closed behind her, leaving 12 board members to contemplate the most expensive education they'd received in years. The executive elevator descended through 47 floors of corporate hierarchy. Dr. Cross watched the numbers drop, each floor representing layers of company culture that would need fundamental reconstruction. Thompson waited in the lobby, maintaining professional distance from the crowd that still lingered. Word had spread through the building's Slack channels faster than gossip at a high school reunion. Employees from multiple floors had migrated downward, drawn by the magnetic pull of career-defining drama. Webb stood near the information desk, his security radio silent in his hands. Peterson hovered by the windows, his phone finally tucked away after deleting 3 social media posts that could never truly disappear from the internet. Sarah Chen had vanished entirely, fled to her office to craft damage control emails and prepare resume updates. Dr. Cross emerged from the elevator at 10:47 a.m. The lobby, which had buzzed with morning energy an hour earlier, now felt like a courtroom awaiting verdict. Mr. Webb, her voice carried clearly across the marble space, could you join me, please? Webb approached with the careful steps of someone walking toward their execution. His 8 years of authority had evaporated in the span of a single phone call. Dr. Cross, ma'am, I want to apologize. She raised a hand, stopping him. Mr. Webb, effective immediately, your employment with Apex Industries is terminated. Thompson will escort you to HR for exit processing. The words landed with surgical precision. Webb's face crumbled. Please, Dr. Cross, I have a family. I have mortgage payments. I made a mistake, but you made 12 mistakes, she replied calmly. 12 documented incidents of bias-driven confrontations. Today wasn't an error in judgment. It was a pattern reaching its logical conclusion. She turned to Peterson, who looked like he might vomit on his Italian leather shoes. Mr. Peterson, you're suspended pending a comprehensive review of your interactions with colleagues and clients. HR will contact you within 48 hours regarding next steps. Peterson's mouth opened, but no words emerged. His Wharton MBA suddenly felt like expensive wallpaper. Dr. Cross addressed the crowd of phones and faces surrounding them. For those documenting this moment, you're witnessing institutional change happening in real time. Not revenge, reform. She pulled out her phone and opened the Employee Communications app, typing a message that would reach all 3,400 Apex Industries employees simultaneously. From CEO Office to all staff. Immediate culture reform implementation. Effective today, Apex Industries is implementing comprehensive workplace dignity protocols. Details in your inbox within the hour. These changes represent our commitment to ensuring every person in this building receives the respect they deserve, regardless of assumptions about their role or background. This is not political correctness. This is professional excellence. Dr. Amelia Cross, CEO. The message appeared on phones throughout the lobby immediately. Employees read it, looked up at Dr. Cross, then back at their screens, processing the reality that corporate promises sometimes actually meant something. Webb was escorted away by Thompson, his security badge already deactivated. Peterson followed a different security guard toward HR, his confident stride replaced by the shuffle of someone reconsidering life choices. Dr. Cross walked to the center of the lobby, addressing the remaining crowd directly. In 30 days, this building will operate differently. Security will recognize every employee as worthy of professional courtesy. Managers will be evaluated on their ability to treat all colleagues with dignity. Assumptions will be replaced with curiosity. Someone raised a phone to record. Dr. Cross looked directly into the camera. For those sharing this story online, I want you to understand something important. Today wasn't about punishment. It was about accountability. The difference matters. The crowd began dispersing, employees returning to meetings and deadlines with new understanding of what their company actually meant when it printed respect on motivational posters. Dr. Cross's phone buzzed with a call from Reuters. This time she answered. Dr. Cross, this is Jennifer Martinez from Reuters Business. We're seeing social media reports about an incident at your headquarters. Can you comment? Ms. Martinez, Apex Industries experienced a teaching moment this morning. We're implementing comprehensive workplace dignity reforms as a result. I'd be happy to discuss our new policies once they're finalized. Was there actually a discrimination incident involving you personally? Dr. Cross looked around the lobby, now returning to normal business rhythms. There was a situation that illuminated areas where our corporate culture needed immediate improvement. We're grateful for the opportunity to address these issues proactively. She ended the call and checked her watch. 11:15 a.m. The board meeting that had started this entire sequence was officially 90 minutes behind schedule. Her phone displayed 17 missed calls from major media outlets, 43 LinkedIn connection requests, and 247 new followers on Twitter. But the most important notification was different. Security system update. New protocols active. Digital recognition enabled. Bias incident reporting live. Change, Dr. Cross reflected, happened faster than most people assumed. You just had to know which buttons to push. 6 months later, Dr. Amelia Cross stood in the same lobby where her humiliation had transformed into revolution. The space looked identical. Same marble floors, same executive elevators, but everything felt different. The digital recognition system worked flawlessly. Security guards now greeted every visitor with professional courtesy, their tablets displaying visitor information before assumptions could form. Marcus Webb's replacement, a former Marine named Rodriguez, had implemented protocols that treated dignity as a security feature, not an afterthought. The Harvard Business School case study arrived in her inbox that morning. Apex Industries, transforming discrimination into innovation. Professor Chen had interviewed 47 employees about the lobby incident and its aftermath. The conclusions validated everything Dr. Cross had implemented. Employee satisfaction scores reached company records. Revenue increased 23% as clients specifically chose Apex for its authentic commitment to inclusive excellence. The Apex accountability model was being studied by Fortune 500 companies worldwide. Peterson had resigned after his comprehensive review revealed a pattern of microaggressions spanning 3 years. He'd enrolled in sensitivity training and was working at a smaller firm, reportedly with genuine humility about his previous behavior. The TikTok video of that morning had been viewed 2.3 million times. Comments had evolved from mockery to learning. This taught me to check my assumptions. CEO handled this perfectly. No anger, just action. Every workplace needs this energy. Dr. Cross's phone buzzed with a text from Thompson, now head of security. "Ma'am, Reuters wants to do a follow-up story on the 6-month results. Should I schedule?" She typed back, "Let's show them what sustainable change looks like." The real victory wasn't in the firing or the social media vindication. It was in the emails she received weekly from employees who felt safer, more respected, more valued. Black stories, life stories, touching stories of real people whose daily experiences had fundamentally improved. These real-life stories mattered more than any corporate metric. Her assistant appeared with the afternoon schedule. "Dr. Cross, you have the university panel at 3. They want to discuss leading through crisis." She smiled, remembering a time when crisis meant something happening to her company, not something revealing her company's true character. "Tell them we'll discuss leading through opportunity. Crisis is just change wearing a disguise." As she walked toward the executive elevator, Dr. Cross reflected on a truth that morning had taught her: power isn't about avoiding humiliation. It's about transforming humiliation into education for everyone watching. The elevator doors closed, carrying her upward toward meetings that would shape policy, strategy, and corporate culture for years to come. What's your story? Have you witnessed workplace discrimination that changed everything? Share your experiences in the comments below. Your voice might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. Hit that subscribe button if you believe in turning adversity into advantage. Stories like these prove that the person you underestimate today might be signing your paycheck tomorrow. Share this video with someone who needs to remember their worth isn't determined by other people's assumptions. Because sometimes the most powerful response to being looked down on isn't anger, it's excellence.